Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about why even if you can't read the code, you should still learn how to build it. Alright, so I know a lot of you guys out there are software developers, but today I want to talk to people who are not software developers, they're not coders, but they're still putting apps out onto the App Store. So they're hiring somebody else, being a software company or a freelancer, to do the code for them and handing over the code. So today I want to give you a little bit of advice, which is something I've learned myself and also a lot of my clients have learned in the past, which is this. When you get your code from the developer, even if you don't know what it means, you should still learn how to build it. You should still know how to compile it and to release it to the App Store, right? And there's a few reasons for this. The first one is that sometimes you're just going to have to release the app again without making any changes to it, especially on the Apple side. So you're going to have to go through and release a new binary, even if you just want to change the title a little bit, change the keywords, change the screenshots. For some reason, Apple still requires that you upload a new binary with that build. You can't just use an old binary. I don't know why. Right? And it's kind of a hassle if you have to go back to the developers and do it. They're probably working on something else. You have to pay them, you have to wait for them. It's something that you should learn how to do on your own. And sometimes even on the Android side, if the Gradle file is set up a certain way, you could just recompile it and that will update some of the libraries. It depends on how they're specified in the Gradle file, right? The second reason that you should be able to do it is a lot of the times when you get the code, you're missing something. So you're missing some sort of dependency, right? And I've done this, well, I met with lots of clients before who they were looking to take over their project, and I'll say, do you have the source code? And they'll rummage through things. It's almost like they're going through an old drawer. They're going through file folders. They go, I think I have the source code here somewhere. And then they'll start showing me things. Is this the source code? And you're like, no, that's like a log file. That looks like an exported logcat file or something like that, you know. Oh, bless them, right? So you're going through and you're trying to find where the code is. And then when you finally get the code, you're trying to run it and you realize that you're missing like the key store file or something like that, right? So it could be a bit difficult, and you never know if you're missing something if you don't test out whether or not you could build it yourself. And it could be very, very difficult to do, right? This is something that I do like a lot of our projects. So we have developers working on things, and sometimes my role is to just check over the code, right? So I'm not writing it myself, but I'm just checking to make sure it looks good. And when I trust the developers, it's pretty easy to, that looks like it's doing what it should doing. But when I try to build it myself to make sure that I can deploy it to the App Store too, that's when I realize I'm missing all kinds of dependencies, especially on the Cordova frameworks or even React Native. I'm missing, whatever, the Babel libraries or something. I have the wrong version, or the developer has an updated version or anything like that. And this is where it gets really messy, right? This is where it's just like, it just takes too long. And it's at this point where they hand over the code where the developer's still there, and I could say, hey, this isn't working, I'm getting this error, what do you think it is? I mean, I could research it myself, but that's what they're there for. They've been through it too, so they can say, oh yeah, I forgot to include this one dependency in the package.json file or everything like that, right? Because if there's one thing we know happens to developers all the time, is that we get hit by buses, right? For some reason, every client I've ever spoke to says, Eric, what are we going to do if you get hit by a bus, right? And I'm thinking, I started thinking, man, I'm more concerned with my family than with this project. And then I imagine being on my deathbed saying, the Bitbucket password is pineapple $93, but instead of E's, we use 3's. Ugh. And somebody shaking me going, is it lowercase, right? But that's not going to happen. So you should make sure that you have all the code. And the best way to know if you have everything you need is to be able to compile it. Now, I thought about doing a tutorial on how to build an Android and an iPhone app, but there's so many different ways. And I know because I deal with this all the time. If you're doing it in Xcode, it's going up to the product and archive and just uploading it. I know a lot of they weren't even developers. They were people who would hire developers. They knew how to build an Xcode because they had to change their keywords all the time for the ASO efforts, and they don't know what any of the code does, but they're able to upload it, right? And so if you use Android Studio, you can do it through Android Studio. You can use the Gradle command line. If you're using Ionic, you use Ionic Cordova, build Android, build iOS. all this kind of stuff, or Corona SDK has its own tool. So there's lots of different ways to do it, and the best time to learn how to do it is as soon as your developer gives you the code, is to say, can you show me how to build this? And it might be a little bit technical, and your developer will hate you for asking this question, because it's like, it might be kind of difficult with you going back for all these questions, like, what does it mean I'm missing, I have the wrong Babel version, or what is I don't have the right Node version, or whatever. But that's the time to figure this kind of stuff out. So you might disagree with me if you're a developer, but I find that a lot of the times the clients, they don't know, they're missing something, or they didn't get something from the developers. They may have fallen out with their developers, or the developers may have gone out of business, got a job, they're no longer answering their emails, whatever, and they just don't have everything they need because they didn't run that local test to make sure that they compile anything. So let me know if you disagree with me, and hopefully that's helpful for those of you who are going to hire a developer or have hired developers in the past. Just make sure you could do that. And there's little things, like if you're on Windows and you're trying to compile for iPhone, that's not going to work. But I mean, in other cases, you should just try to make sure that you have everything there. So anyway, that is it for today. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.